My first memories of Douglas was when the night that I joined the church, um, Reverend Brewster was preaching, and there were other young ladies on the bench with me. And so we all got up and went up and shook his hand and joined the church. At that time, I did not understand why. I was just following the rest of the girls. That's what I was told to do. But later on, I did learn to accept Christ. I learned what the meaning of joining the church meant. And to this day, I'm still holding on to that. And that's 7+ years ago.
I was around by 13 or 14 when I first moved to Douglas upon my godmother, Ruth B. Scruggs. I was up under Reverend J.I. Thomas until he left, and then Reverend Staten, he come there for a minute, then Pastor Hegler. I really learned more about Jesus and everything under Pastor Hegler. Most of my everything I learned with Pastor Hegler. And when he first come there, I used to tell him he didn't have nothing when he come there, riding a bicycle, who want him and everything. But about a couple of years ago, he told me something. He said, you all didn't have anything either. He said, the first check y'all give me bounce. So that set my mouth up right there then.
My earliest memory was when I was 12 years old and I joined Douglas. I was going there since I was a kid, but I can't remember anything before then. I had a best friend named Bertie Hobson, and one Sunday she just jumped up and said, Jackie, I'm going to join church today. I said, well, I'll join too. I didn't know what I was joining for. I joined because she went up there.
My name is Joann Bright. I joined Douglas Chapel at the age of 11. I didn't live in Douglas when I joined the church. I lived in St. Louis Addition. And every Sunday morning, I would get up. My mother would wake me up. I would get up and catch, y'all might not know what it is, the city bus. And I come there and get off on East 2nd, East Cook. And I run all the way up the hill, get to my grandmother's house. And from then on, we go to Sunday school at 9 o'clock. And after that, we have morning worship. And we go on. I stay there, but I had to be back home before dark. So I stayed a while for BTU. And after that, I caught the city bus and went on back home. My mother would meet me at where I got on at.
The ripe old age of 91, I have seen a lot of changes in Douglas Chapel. And I'm kind of like Pastor Smith. I love me some Douglas. But I've always felt there was a lot of love there. Time changed. The time has changed. And of course, the community's changed. And so we just have to change with time. I've seen the ups and downs of the church, but I still love Douglas Chapel Baptist Church. And the way that things have changed is such an improvement because it's all about our youngsters. And I was once in that position of being one of the younger ones. So now seeing our young kids and how they are accepting Christ is such a blessing.
Well, from where I'm coming up from, when I was, say, maybe a teenager or maybe in my 20s or 30s, say like Miss Jenny will lead some of the older generation. They the one taught us how to dress. We couldn't wear no pants. But when Pastor Hagler come there, we could start wearing pants then. And that's a change was right there. And that was a lot of things that I guess what was in the Bible was misinterpreted. And then Reverend Hagler got there, things was broken down to us more. And that was a change. I'm 84 years old and I'm learning to accept the changes because I pray for my church family and my pastor and help me to accept whatever.
A very important change to me is time. Right now we go at 9, 11:30, we out of there. Back in the day, you were there all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there was, kids now won't understand, but dinner on the ground. And it was literally dinner outside. That's why they said dinner on the ground. You had a table set up with food and you eat. And after you got full, you couldn't go to sleep because you had to go back in that church and start worshiping again. Now that's the part that I remember about the change. Now the kids wouldn't understand that today.
Well, I could say it has changed in a whole lot. And I've been told in my younger days, it's a cold wind that don't make a change. And so Douglas have really changed. And when I first joined Douglas, well, I went and I studied, but it was kind of, my pastor, Reverend J.I. Thomason, well, in fact, I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but he didn't have the education that these pastors have now. And we learned from the Bible. And after then, when Pastor Hagler came, that's when I really started to really growing. Although I knew right from wrong, I knew about the church, but that's where I started growing because he was teaching as well so as preaching. And Pastor Hagler was not only my pastor and my pastor, he was a friend and still is. I always tell him that he was a doctor, the lawyer and all for the family. And so that's where I have really learned. And after that, after Pastor Hagler left, Reverend Smith came, and I'm learning more than it's different, but I'm still learning.
Those old hymns that those deacons and sisters sang back then, Precious Lord is one of them that I can remember right offhand, though that I truly loved. Oh, those sisters were shouting all over the place because of the way they delivered the songs. We didn't have all these modern equipment. They just had a piano. We didn't have an organ at the beginning. We just had a piano. And we had, there was Ida Mae Thompson, there was Miss Geneva Lee. Those were some of the people that played the piano back in those days. I might be forgetting some, but those are the ones I can take up right off. Miss Geneva and Ida Mae Thompson. And of course, there were other younger women. But those hymns, if you had anything in you, you coming up. Because those hymns were beautiful, and I still love a good old-fashioned hymn. This music that they play is fine. I don't have a problem with it because I realize times have changed. But those hymns would get you going if you had anything.
But I remember that Sunday, I was in the church, which like I said, I had been going to church all the time, but I wasn't just totally involved in church and be our part and then going on, and I still would come on to church that Sunday. But that particular Sunday, I could hear a voice in the church calling my name. But I never, it wasn't Pastor Hagler, it was just a voice way off. And when I know them thing, I was up there at the altar for rededicating my life. And I can remember different ones, Pastor Murphy running them. All of them got up and come around me. Pastor Hagel laid his hand on my head and they prayed and this and that. And then after I come out of the church, it was so beautiful. It was pretty, beautiful. And in my mind, I knew I was saved, but in my mind, I didn't think I could do no wrong. I thought I was perfect then, but God had to show me I wasn't perfect.
It made a difference difference in my life because I guess I was a normal kid. My mom made me go to church whenever that door was open. All through the week, if something was going on, we were there. So I vowed when I got old and able to get out of that house, I wasn't going to church anymore. So when I left El Dorado at 19 and moved to Texas, I didn't go to church. I did exactly what I intended. But as the old saying goes, church was just in me. So when I finally came back home, it was like I had never left.
Church made a difference in my life after I got married. I said that it made a whole lot of difference in my life because at the time that I could go to the Bible, go to different places, and learn about marriage and whatnot. But I tell you, during the difference in the church in my life, it has made me stronger. It has made me wiser, and it has just been good.
When I started to, as I grew older, and I started to realize what actually meant by going to church and worshiping. In the beginning, it was just kind of a recreational thing for us as youngsters, because we go in the morning to Sunday school, then we had worship service. We go back in the afternoon, BTU, then we had evening services. So the youngsters back in those days, we were pretty much in church. We didn't have time for other activities. Of course, there were none, but you just enjoyed going to church. That's what it was all about.
For the next generation, I hope they learn more about Jesus, and I pray that they will grow. They don't have to be like us, and I know they're not going to be like us. And I hope that we could be something that they can look up to if they feel comfortable, come to us if they need someone to talk to. And I hope we can get more closer to the one that's joining our church, because we don't even know the people that's joining. And I talked to Pastor Smith about maybe we could have a prayer breakfast or something where we could get to know all of them, because the younger generation need to know us, what's left. And we could reach out to them and maybe we can help them. Because my help comes from the older generation.
It means family to me. I love my Douglas family. What I hope and pray is that my kids will continue the legacy of Douglas for many, many generations. I love it when I sit there and see my grandson up in that choir right now. And I hope, if the Lord is willing, that I can see his kids up there.
Personally, it means to me, I really can't, it just means to me, I can go downtown anywhere, and by the name of Douglas Chapel, when you said Douglas Chapel, people would turn around. That's the kind of church, and start asking questions and giving smiles. You got to be able to answer those questions, and they'll smile at you and all. That's what I like. Just go to a church where they will know you, help you to grow, and help you to understand the life, and help you to be prepared for the life that you expected to live on.
Oh my God. I love me some Douglas Chapel Missionary Baptist Church. First of all, when I joined at that early age, I had no intention of ever going any place else. For what? I had it all right there at Douglas. So why should I run someplace else, seeking what I already had? So I was happy and still is. So when they lay me to rest, hopefully it'll be right there at Douglas Chapel Church. I hope I'll still go back to Douglas. That's where my heart is.
I would say, come on, you all, we have one of the friendliest churches and the warmest churches. We're not perfect, but show me a perfect church. And I feel like if you come there, you come to worship service, you're gonna love it because you're gonna get a lot of love there.
The love makes Douglas special. It's just generated all over the place. I've had several people that have come there that never visited before and they said when I stepped in that sanctuary, I could just feel the love. And that's special. You don't do that at every church.
To me, I hope the next generation will listen. Just listen and obey. And don't be so up to not to pay attention. Have questions, ask questions. And the next generation, and if we go along and the elders that we do have, respect them and just pay attention. Number one, leave your Facebook pages at home. Leave all that at home and listen at the preacher and the teaching and the singing, and you will learn something. If it ain't nothing but just say amen.
I kind of hope that the youngsters nowadays can kind of learn from the older people some of the things that we had to do, how we were brought up. I'm hoping that with the right kind of guidance and love, I'm hoping that these youngsters they need us. They need you guys. And that's my prayer and I have grandkids, lots of them. And that's the one thing that I hope for my family and for others, that the young people can see. But it's not all about that. I hope they have goals and understand some of the things that we went through to get them to where they are. I'm hoping they feel some of this love and especially the love for one another. That's the most important thing to me. Respect and love one another.
What I would like to see Douglas grow as with the young generation, just keep on putting your trust in God and listen to what the pastor and for Pastor Smith, keep on preaching, keep on teaching. And to all of the young generation, just keep your trust in God.
What I want to see is the Family Life Center completed. This is something that we've been talking about and praying about for years. And I know I'll probably be gone, but I'll know.
I would tell them if they don't know Douglas Chapel, come and visit us at Douglas Chapel. You come 1, 2, 3 times and we got you. So that's all I can say. Just come and see what we do.